Alright everybody, and welcome back to Indiethon. We are still accepting donations for the outfit of our cutest little fox of the next run coming up. So if you do want to change that outfit, please go ahead and donate. And with that, I will just take it over to SunnyMuffin with his run of Tunic. Take it away.
Hello. I'm SunnymuffinSR. We're going to be running some Tunic today. With me on comms, we have SilentDestroyer and Radicoon. They're going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting because this run is pretty involved, and I do need to do some concentrating. So we'll just go ahead and get the run started. I'll let them do the introductions, and we'll get going. So the timer will start in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, hello everybody. I am Silent. I'm going to be doing some of the intro commentary. So this is Tunic. If you're unfamiliar, Tunic is an isometric action-adventure game about a tiny fox in a big world where you explore the wilderness, fight monsters, and find secrets. And right off the bat, we're actually going to see two pretty small secrets. He's going to put in some hidden codes to get some free samples of some bombs that we can collect in the game. One of them is going to be a firecracker, and one of them is going to be a fire bomb. We're going to use this firecracker to do a small sequence break. We're going to break down these bushes that normally you're supposed to have the sword for.
Oh, we're going to lose the bomb.
Oh no.
Backup firebomb, let's go.
You got the firebomb. We were going to use the firecracker to break down those bushes. Instead, we will be using the firebomb to break down these bushes. Normally, you're supposed to have the sword to cut down the bushes. So it's a little sequence break. We're kind of skipping the sword for now to get further into the overworld. We're going to pick up some more firecrackers to use later. And we're going to do a slight route deviation. We would normally go into that yellow square. It's like a teleporter pad. But since we have to change the fox's color, we're going to do a little detour to go to the changing room. And I believe it's yellow.
Snipes? Alright, yellow. So there's a bunch of different fox color options. So yellow raised some money. I know blue, dark blue was pretty close as well. But always happy to raise money for puppers. So we're gonna have to do some laps around this little thing and pick our color. There's our yellow.
There we go.
So, yeah,
so now we have the banana fox or the lemon fox, whichever you prefer.
Lemon loaf, thank you.
Lemon loaf. We're going to be running to the Ruined Atoll, which is one of the more important areas of the run. Normally we would use that teleporter and we would teleport there, but there's nothing preventing us from just taking this alternate route and running there alternatively. So we're just going to take a short little stroll through the atoll. There's more stuff we're going to do here later, but for now we're kind of going to ignore all of it. And we're going to head into the Frog's Domain, which is one of the small little side dungeons that the game has to offer. We're going to pick up a pretty important item that's going to be useful for the rest of the run. And we do have a big skip coming up, so Rad, if you'd like to explain that.
Sure. Well, it's kind of interesting. The game kind of tries to force you to go get the sword and kind of travel around the overworld a bit, but there's really nothing stopping you from coming right to Atoll and Frog's Domain, where we're heading now. That's kind of one of the design philosophies behind Tunic, is it harkens back to like the original Zelda. Who could have guessed? In that, you know, there's a critical path to follow, but there's a lot open to you to explore, whether you're appropriately leveled for it or in the know on how to access it or not. So it seems like we're sequence breaking here, but we're, you know, where we're going is just open to all players generally. But these firecrackers that we got earlier are going to help us essentially skip all of Frog's Domain. Instead of moving around the entire area kind of counterclockwise, we can just aggro one of these guards here, who will use his like harpoon tongue to clip us through and right up to the orb, and that's it. We've skipped all of Frog's Domain, and we're just going to death warp out of here, do a little menuing on the death, or I guess, okay, Sunny's faster than that. And because it's our first death, it's going to bring us into Resurrection, which is sort of like a story cutscene on first death. But for whatever reason, our consumables are still mapped, even though we have no UI in this. So we can just death warp out of the death plane, Deathception, I think I've heard it referred to. And now we're off to Effigy Skip. How do you explain this? So the effigy is an item that gives you some money. It kind of accelerates as you use more of them.
It
But
also matches the fox's color.
yes, crucially,
Yeah, it's an
a
effigy.
lot good attention to detail there. When you use it, the camera tries to center and play an animation, and for whatever reason, that kind of lets us cancel some things like this mid-flight. And
Nice.
the game doesn't really know what to do, so it just drops us down, and we skip right into West Garden.
Yeah,
Easy
you're normally
peasy.
supposed to go through, like, I think it's the Dark Tomb. There's like a side dungeon you're supposed to go through, but we just skipped all of that. So at the start of the run, I mentioned that we were skipping the sword. We're actually about to pick up a sword right now, but it's not really the intended location you're supposed to get the sword. The developers were nice enough to actually hide a second sword behind this secret door, specifically for speedrunners. So we are taking full advantage of that, and we thank them for it.
It's our speedrunner sword.
So this, yeah, speedrunner sword. So coming up, this is Terry. Terry's our friend. We don't really like him because he just tries to chase us and bite us to death. So we're just gonna send him on his way, and then we'll be on our way.
Bye, Terry.
Goodbye, Terry. Can we get some
Can't
Fs for
swim.
Terry? So right there, he's using the third hidden code that we have to get an ice bomb. And we're gonna use this ice bomb to do a little grapple shenanigan to kind of skip probably about like 50% of this West Garden area. If we throw the bomb at a specific angle underneath this guy, oh,
Hit the wall.
okay. Wow. Okay.
Okay, no
So
skip.
what we were planning to do there is we were gonna throw the ice bomb underneath that guard, and it would have frozen the guard, and we could have grappled up to him. But it's kind of tricky, so we're just gonna do the backup strat, which is just running all the way through here. It doesn't waste that much time, but it's a little hectic
Scary?
because there are going to be a lot of enemies that are chasing us through here. But it's all good. We're recovering.
It's okay. We got
so-
backups on backups here.
Yeah, probably gonna have to damage down outside.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
We're just not
Let's
gonna
go
do
get those firecrackers, right?
that. No, we're not doing those with firecrackers.
Oh,
Skip
Do
okay.
you need them?
Oh,
I
that's
guess
right.
not.
We don't
Yeah.
need them.
Oh, it's true. Well, you have to kill admin with them, don't you?
Oh, you get 2 more. It's fine. But yeah,
Oh,
another
true.
death
True.
warp.
True. Yeah. Another death warp. So death warps are going to be a pretty common theme in this run. It's so convenient for cutting out backtracking. So you see we're all the way back at Atoll. So this lines us up perfectly to go exactly where we need to go next. So going back the way that we came, we're now going to go to Dark Tomb, which, as the name implies, it's dark. You're supposed to get a lantern that kind of lights up the way for you to see where you're going. But since we're good, and we want to go fast. We're not going to get the lantern, and we're just gonna YOLO it and see what we can do.
Yeah, picking up some backup bombs here. So failing that West Garden skip not only wastes a bunch of time, but you lose 4 dynamite in the process. So by skipping a death warp and picking up the backup chest, I'm only down 1 dynamite. Not a big deal.
I don't want to lower the impressiveness of Dark Tomb, but we all have kind of like our own little setups for this, so it's going to look absolutely terrifying. But fully, we won't really take much damage here unless it's intentional, and I'll just say it's all intentional. So we only come in here to get a single item. We don't actually go through the whole dungeon or anything. We really need this item. It's called the Orange Peril Ring. It's kind of a Dark Souls reference, and it's going to enable us to do double damage if we're in peril state. And peril state is when we're 20% or less HP. So getting maintaining low health throughout the run, especially on a PB attempt, is pretty critical, which makes most of the run pretty scary. Because it helps us death warp and it keeps us in peril state to do more damage. And a lot of the fights just simply aren't reasonable in the speed run without being able to do double damage.
Yeah, I just want to say that Dark Tomb, he made it look easy. It is not easy. You couldn't really see, but there are spikes all over the floor, and there are like 20 enemies in there that chase you all over the place. So he made it look very easy. So nicely done.
I think I have
so the
most
item that we,
consistent Dark Tomb out of any of the top runners.
I don't know if there is a consistent. Everybody does it differently.
I don't think there's a consistent.
So the item that we just picked up is the fire rod, fire wand, magic wand.
The wand.
The wand, yeah. The wand basically shoots a small beam of fire out that can damage an enemy. Uses a small amount of magic. There's actually a hidden technique. It's probably the most broken thing in this entire game, where you can use the fire rod and the magic dagger simultaneously to do, instead of a fire shot, you do an ice shot. And that uses much less magic than the actual ice dagger does, and it's way faster. And it lets you freeze a single enemy for a short amount of time. And we're going to use that a lot. It's incredibly broken because it doesn't use as much magic as the ice dagger does. We're actually going to use it right here to do another pretty big skip.
Does anybody remember the quarry? Well, I'm sorry, but we won't be playing any of it.
I apologize to headphone users.
Yeah. So interesting property about freezing an enemy is typically if you grapple onto an enemy, the enemy gets pulled towards you. But if they're frozen, then you actually get pulled towards them. So we grappled that enemy to pull him towards us and make him fall, and then froze him while he was in midair, and then grappled ourselves towards him to fall all the way down and basically skip all of the quarry.
Alright, we do have a little bit of an auto scroller here. We get to ride an elevator. So Aeshmah, if you have any announcements, feel free.
Don't forget to save and quit.
No, we save.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Well, I will happily do that, because we have another incentive coming up in the game 2 ones after this, and it is for Yoko's Island Express, save versus kill the animals. And at the moment, if I just open up that donation, it seems like that Save the Animals is in the lead, but if you just donate a little over $10, you can actually make the runner go ahead and kill the animals. So, you know, just go ahead, donate a little bit of money, and instead of saving the animals, well, you might actually see them go splaplath. And with that, it's back to you guys.
Awesome. So this is probably the biggest deviation from the actual any percent route for a reset run route. Doing this section, you're usually at 1 HP, and that just means you die. So I have to take a safety save here just to make sure that we don't lose 5 minutes at the bottom of Ziggurat.
So we have to beat this administrator. Normally we'd have, 3 to 4 firecrackers. So this is all scary. Now we're Imperial State, we do double damage.
Good call.
Okay,
I would have done the same thing.
Nice backup. The ladder off this tower does not activate until both phases of the administrator are dispatched. So we don't have a lot of options here. Silent, do you want to explain Kevin Clip, or?
I will explain Kevin Clip.
Okay.
So, the area that we're about to come up to, this tower, is kind of a bit of an auto-scroller. There's a bunch of ladders you climb down, and then there's a really long elevator ride. The whole thing is about a minute or so, and it's pretty boring. But, so of course, as speedrunner fashion, we were going to skip all of it. It's kind of an interesting backstory about this. Developers, when they were playing this game, found a way to fall off of the edge of the outside of this tower, and they decided to put a load zone there in case anybody, speedrunner or not, figured out a way to clip off of it. And lo and behold, we found a way to clip off of it. It is not the intended way that the developers found, but it is faster. So I feel like we've won. But we call it Kevin Clip because Kevin is the developer that originally hinted about it to the speedrunning community. So we thank him for it. And so if we line up with that corner just right, it's kind of has some weird collision. The fox will start jiggling. We just kind of move around that corner and we clip through.
Yep, saves about a minute of auto-scroller nonsense. So it's fantastic.
It's thankfully very, very consistent. So
Yes.
it's super, super fun to do, and yeah, saves a lot of downtime in the run. That roll is very intentional. We're trying to clog up that catwalk so that those voidlings don't chase us, because we need to access this berry. Those 3 mana berries refill our mana and are critical for completing the 80% route for the final boss fight. This is the area with 2 administrators, but you don't actually have to beat these, unlike the first administrator. You just have to have enough downtime to power this fuse. So as long as we complete that and let them fight it out, we can just leave. And I guess now we're on our way to Scav. You gonna do the ladder clip?
No.
All right, Silent. Tell us about the Scav.
All right. So boss scavenger is the boss coming up. I think casually for a lot of people, this was probably one of the harder bosses. All the bosses in this game are pretty challenging in their own right. Unfortunately, we're not going to fight this boss. Spoilers. We're going to do a pretty interesting little technique. We're going to start the boss fight, but not actually be in the boss fight arena. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's pretty cool. I like this boss.
The highest RNG, right? Which is one of the reasons we do this area first.
Yeah, it's not super RNG intensive, but Scav likes to troll sometimes, so I guess we'll see. So if we do a well-angled fire beam shot, we can actually damage the boss and start the boss fight, but not be in the arena. And so of course, what we want to happen is we want Scav to run towards us. This is the worst possible outcome. Scav is throwing bombs and shooting her gun repeatedly.
4 attacks. That's
Four?
pretty good.
Okay,
There we
here we
go.
go. So we want Scav to get to the very edge of the arena. Okay, this is actually perfect. So when Scav gets to the edge of the arena, there are 2 options. If it does that jump attack, we can just grapple her instantly and pull her off the edge. Otherwise, we can freeze her, and then as soon as she gets unfrozen, we can grapple her in her like unfreezing animation and pull her off the edge. And then she hits the death plane, and the rest is history.
Yeah, this game tends to not have like a ton of RNG, so you saw there that Scavenger can just sit
Yeah.
there and ruin your run.
This is I would say the run itself doesn't have a ton of complicated speed tech. Like, it's pretty easy to learn everything you need to do to get a good any percent time. You just have to be very tolerant of resets, because basically any mistake throughout the entire run is not recoverable or just wastes so much time that you need to start over. So I'd still recommend it though. It's very short. So we're back to Atoll, and we're actually going to solve this area now as our second of 3 like main boss area kind of world maps. It's kind of a square area, and there's fuses in each of the corners. We need to power all 4 to be able to activate the teleporter in the middle, and we've just kind of got a lot of good routing to get to all 4 as quickly as we can, and everybody's contributed just a little piece. Like, I think Twix found that bird skip, and Silent here kind of clued everybody in that you could run behind the wall for the first fuse. The crab, I think Tej kind of pioneered grappling to the 3rd crab on the 3rd fuse. There's a lot of good community involvement in routing this area, but the routing is super fun and very consistent. Except when the crabs hit you.
Yeah, this is where we pray for good crabs, because the crabs like to beat us up the mountain and damage us.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Oh
Oh,
no.
uh-oh. Maybe?
Yo, let's go.
Okay, that was...
We're out.
I don't even know how that happened. Yeah, this area
Yeah,
has a lot of
intentional.
cool, like, freeze grapple techniques to kind of make your way up those mountains faster, and also ways to get down faster.
That was completely intentional, by the way. We're gonna go with it.
I am very surprised that you did not get hit by that crab, but I'm,
Yeah. Very thankful.
like... I know it's a meme, but I have never seen that happen before.
It's because the fox is yellow. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going with.
We're allergic to
Elusive.
lemons.
Just didn't
fox.
taste good, yeah. Yep. So we're damaged down already, which means we're in peril state, but that doesn't really matter because we're not going to fight this next boss. We're actually going to use that lure that we picked up earlier to sort of activate the boss fight. Similar to how we fought the Scav, where we're not really going to be in the boss arena. We're going to try to sort of prime the lure facing away from the boss, drop below the death plane that will spawn when the boss fight starts, and then once we kind of reach our position, intended position on the ladder, the lure is going to spin back around and walk toward the boss, and if we're lucky, it's a pretty good chance. I think it's like 80+% chance that we'll get an attack that we want. The librarian will enter the death plane, and similarly to the scav, we'll just walk up, collect the key, and be good to go.
I see you're a right staircase guy.
I actually just thought about that because I was like, oh, Alicia said it was faster. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. It's faster.
Some people go left, some people go right. Yeah.
Allegedly, it was timed, and right's faster. So
It might be. I've never actually tried it. Oh, you're doing the safety save here?
yeah. So this
This
is
is
Might as well.
Glacey's long con. It's actually not faster, and they're just pulling a fast one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna activate this here, just in case. Librarian can be kind of trolly. There's
Yeah, it's sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, go for it.
It's pretty consistent, but there is an attack that Radian can do that can still kill us even though we're very far away. So he's going to throw the lure in that corner. And then an interesting thing about the lure is that it actually moves based on the direction you're holding on the control stick. So he's going to hold it down while he's climbing down the ladder and then kind of flick left and up when he's below the death plane. And it starts the fight. The boss is going to be above the death plane. We're below it. He's going to try to come down to us to attack us. He gets wiped out.
Easy, yeah. It can
Pretty textbook.
still troll you though. Like he can do the shadow balls. He can do just a bunch of different stuff that is not fun. But that went very smoothly. And,
Worth noting that that trick doesn't work on 144 hertz or above. Like you have to make sure your monitor is 120 or below.
Yeah,
or it,
I did a majority of my like PD events on 120, and it's like probably 50-50 on 120, but 60 it's free.
Yeah, this game has a lot of interesting, like, oddities that things differ vastly based on your frame rate. And it's dependent on your monitor frame rate. Like, you can try to change the frame rate other ways, but it usually doesn't work out very well. So
yeah,
60
it's like
is
the
usually what
internal
makes
tick rate
most
or
things.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
60 is usually what makes a lot of things consistent. So we're going to be making our way to the third and final key that we're going to need. I don't know if we mentioned it, but those little hexagon things, I think they're called questigons. Those are basically the key items that we need to pick up to unlock the end of the game. We've picked up 2 of them. We're going to pick up the third and final one. We're going to go to Eastern Forest.
Definitely
Again,
not
there's
Force pieces.
yeah, definitely not.
We're not going to the Temple of Time for sure.
Definitely not. Yeah. So you're supposed to go through like an underground dungeon to get into this Eastern Vault, but we're gonna do another little cheesy ice grapple across the lake there. And then this is the Eastern Vault, very long dungeon. We're not even gonna play it. We're gonna pull right up. And we're gonna damage the guy so he backs up into the door. We're gonna ice grapple him, and then we're going to grapple through the door. And now we're in the boss fight.
Doors don't exist. It's fine.
Yeah, they're a myth.
This split is amazing. Worth noting, you don't use any any consumable, so if you're learning the route, you can fail this at any point and just die, and like you get a clean restart. So
This is Siege Engine. Oh,
yeah,
go
we're
ahead.
gonna fight it totally normally. No death plane abuse here.
But we are gonna stun lock it.
Yeah.
We do a lot of damage with Orange Barrel Ring. Turns out.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the power of that double damage with the RTSR, the Orange Barrel Ring.
Volume warning.
Yeah, this boss is very loud during this cutscene. Nice
roll,
roll
let's
for
go.
effect.
It's no big head mode, but I'll give it to you. So you're gonna see a door skip soon. It's exactly the same as the one we just used to get into this arena. We've got to get into the Sacred Temple to drop all 3 of the questigons into their receptacles or whatever they are. And we use the same technique. We basically kite an enemy over to the door, push them up against the door, freeze them, and then grapple through the door. And
Yeah,
once we
you'll
do that, oh, go ahead.
You'll see he did a little save and quit there. When you insert the little key into that pedestal, it plays like a 20-second cutscene. But if we save and quit, it skips the cutscene, so it saves about 10 seconds there.
Oh, whoops.
Do you want me to explain key skip?
I mean, I can unless you
Go
want
for
to.
it. Absolutely.
So the key skips are arguably everyone's least favorite part of this run because it happens right at the end, and they are very weird, I'll say. So we're gonna do another ice grapple first and foremost to clip through this door into the Seal Temple. And there are 3 pedestals that we have to place the keys into. Every time that we place a key into one, it plays a 23-second cutscene, roughly. So all 3 of them combined, it's over a minute of time. But what we can actually do is if we walk up to the pedestal and then pause the game, and we hover over the quit to menu option, and we press B to close the menu, and then press A. I believe it's 2 frames exactly after we press B. What happens is the menu closes, and the A press is registered for both starting the cutscene and quitting to menu. And the game basically saves the state of having inserted the key as soon as you start the cutscene. So essentially what's happening is you would start the cutscene and immediately quit to menu, and the game would save that. Unfortunately, he failed it. It's really, really precise and really, like, finicky. So we have another chance. Right? Yeah. I think like it's roughly like you press B and then you have like 1 frame, and then on the second frame you have to press A. And again, this is also frame rate dependent. So the higher your frame rate, the much harder it is. But we have a chance to do it for the second one. So hopefully we get at least one of them.
Nope.
But no big deal.
That's all, yeah.
It's a very like weird trick. I don't think we still really understand fully what's going on there. Luckily for us, the 3rd cutscene skip is much easier. Well, I don't want to jinx it, but it is easier.
Technically easier.
Yeah, I fail it a lot. I'm sure Sonny will get it. What we're gonna do for the 3rd one is we're just gonna throw a firecracker up at the pedestal, start the cutscene, and then we're just gonna death warp. So. There we go.
Let's go.
So you'll see the key actually gets inserted as we're kind of dying, and now we're making our way to the final boss fight.
Now this boss fight, you're intended to lose.
Yes.
Spoilers, I guess. So we intend to not lose. We have to be very careful, but we can use that ice ray that Silent talked about earlier. To make the fight pretty trivial. We're going to kind of do 1-2 combos and then refreeze and basically stun lock the boss. We don't have enough magic to do that consistently, and that's why we picked up those 3 berries earlier. So in the middle of the fight, we have to kind of keep this very clean and consistent stun lock pattern, but we also have to take 3 breaks during that pattern to menu to the berry, eat it, and then return to the pattern. So it's pretty tense, even though it looks simple.
It's pretty tense.
Yeah.
I'll give him some quiet time, but he did pause before the fight. There is another cutscene skip that's exactly the same as those key skips, where you basically close the menu and then press A to activate and then quit the menu, and you can skip that like 20-second cutscene of the fight actually starting. But again, it's not easy to do, so it's not a huge deal. Yeah.
Yeah, if you refreeze too fast, it can break your stun lock. And it's like completely run ending. So you have to like wait for it to start shaking.
Yeah.
It's
If we die in this fight, then we basically have to load a backup save, because there's no way back like that's fast to this boss fight.
Health bar is actually smaller in phase 2. I guess worth mentioning, we got lucky. The ice beam was originally intended to cost the full dagger charge. So just good early game luck.
Please don't patch devs.
Yeah. Time is coming up. And time.
Yep, time.
Missed the cutscene skips, but overall that run actually went pretty well.
Yeah.
This game is like absolutely brutal run in a no reset setting, because it's just like there's one thing that goes wrong and your entire run is dead. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that
And
went.
he's not exaggerating.
Oh yeah. Like hours can go by and you'll finish maybe one run every 4 or 5 hours. Like, yeah, it's brutal.
But yeah,
It's fun though.
excellent game.
Yeah.
Excellent
Oh,
speed game. Huge shout outs to the Tunic community, like including Silent and Rad here. Thank you guys for helping with commentary, and just the community is amazing. If you're interested at all in speedrunning games, Tunic is really, really fun. It's pretty accessible. None of the tricks are like super, super hard. And you get to play as a little cute fox, so that's always a plus.
I will say super great recovery from the ice bomb. That one was
Yeah.
excellent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I've
another
never,
thing
I've
that has
like
never
never
happened.
seen that. Yeah. What even happened? It like
Maybe
I have to
rolled
watch back,
backwards?
but
Yeah, I don't know. It's all whatever. And then the dynamite getting 8 at the beginning,
Mhm.
slipping through the trees and falling into the water. That's always fun.
yeah.
That only
Oh.
happens like 1 out of every 100 times. So, but yeah, no, pretty happy with that
Marathon
run.
luck.
Cool. Y'all have any last minute things you want to say before we take it back over to Aeshmah?
I mean, if you're interested in running this game, we have a great Discord server with tons of guides and videos and stuff. So definitely give it a check out if you're interested. If you haven't played this game, please go play this game. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, very little. We didn't touch much on the actual like casual gameplay. Luckily, we're very lucky that the any percent route doesn't spoil hardly anything about the game. There's a lot more to it than what you saw. Also, huge shout outs to Andrew, the developer. The developer is actually super supportive of the speedrun community and like reach out to us for feedback and stuff all the time. So that's awesome to see. Like you're definitely not entering a bad scene there. And there is a lot of talk about an upcoming patch that will add like an in-game timer display and a final time display as well. So a lot of love from the developers, and that's always amazing to see. So we appreciate that too.
Awesome. So I think we're all done, Aeshmah. Go ahead and take it away.
All right, Sunny, thank you so much for this very entertaining TUNIC run. Before we head into the intermission, let me just remind our dear viewers that we have an incentive open for the run after the next one for Yoku's Island Express to save or kill the animals. At the moment, the save option is still in the lead, but I have it in good conscience that that is actually the slower option of the two. And since this is a speedrun marathon, we obviously want to go fast. So please, everybody, open your wallets and donate to actually go ahead and kill the animals so it actually go fast as a speedrun should. We also have a very special surprise for you guys for the next speedrun. So stick around for the intermission and we will see you in just a few minutes.